What is up? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Tonight was one heck of a show on Friday Night Smackdown. This is actually really interesting. It really was. We had a pretty interesting week also. Let me just say I saw what happened. I saw in a highlight clip what happened Monday night with the huge plot twist of Edge and the backstabbing that happened and Finn Balor putting that crowbar on Edge's face, making him look like Handsome Momo's dad. Didn't see that coming. Also, please end that thing with Seth and Cody. Unfortunately, Cody Rhodes will be out of action for a long time because he had successful surgery. So there won't be a match on June 25th in Amarillo between Seth and Cody. But we will have some more Hell in a Cell rematches. But either way, it's going to be at a live event, but that won't be happening. But I'm wishing Cody Rhodes a speedy recovery. And let me just say, if you didn't see it, be sure to check out my review on Hell in a Cell. And let me just say again, Cody Rhodes, awesome, toughest one. Stone Cold is one of the toughest SOBs. Cody is one of the next. Like I said earlier, great start to Friday Night Smackdown from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We had Drew McIntyre and Sheamus facing off against each other tonight in what was a great opening match, great classic. It started off good. We saw Sheamus try to do the 10 beats of the drum, and Drew McIntyre did it successfully. We saw a lot of move thievery tonight, by the way. And the match, before the match even started, we had Drew McIntyre throwing Pete Dunne around. And by the way, on this channel, I address him as Pete Dunne because Butch. But either way, Drew threw Pete Dunne around, and then the match started with the 10 beats of the Balor and everything. Then we would see a lot of move thievery. Future shot move thief stole by by Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre would do a move thief of the white noise from the top rope. They both countered each other's running kicks. Sheamus countering the Claymore kick. Um, Drew, of course, countering the Brogue kick. So everyone's moves got countered, and they ended up fighting on the outside when Sheamus went flying off the top with a flying clothesline to the ground. They fought with steel chairs like it was Star Wars and Bible Man, and then they ended up getting counted out. The fight would continue on to commercial break, and ironically, the first commercial they played was a commercial featuring Bianca Belair and themselves in a fight over lunch. So it's ironic that that commercial would come on first. When we come back on, they're still fighting. And nope, the only thing that disappointed me was there was not a conclusion because we had an excellent start to Friday Night Smackdown tonight. But who knows? After both of them went into the locker room and demanded that Adam Pearce would put them in the match, I think both of them should probably be contestants in the Money in the Bank match coming soon to Las Vegas. Who knows? We'll see. In small news tonight, the Viking Raiders are set to come back to SmackDown soon, and I'm gonna be very honest with you. I hope they get the same energy that they got when they were on NXT, because it seems to me sometimes that when they're on NXT, they get better responses from the crowd than on WWE programming, and they seem to be they feel much more high quality on NXT than they do in Raw or SmackDown. And proof of that is that earlier this week we saw Apollo Crews return to NXT to team with Sequoia to defeat the Jerk Grayson Waller and Carmelo Hayes, who doesn't miss. He should be a basketball player. But either way, great tag match on NXT this past week. Thank God that Roxanne Perez defeated Pretty Karen, Tiffany Stratton. I call her a spoiled Pretty Karen because that's her heelish character. She's a spoiled Pretty Karen. But either way, great to see Apollo Crews back in NXT, and it just seems like sometimes people go to NXT because much more appreciation and the energy is much more fiery there. But either way, Raiders seem to return soon. We saw we will be seeing 2 days before my birthday on June 27th. John Cena will be returning to Raw, and he will fit to say what's next. I don't know, but I think it was very cool when John Cena went to the Amsterdams to visit one of the Ukraine refugees. That was awesome, just so awesome. And it's things like that that make me put. If you haven't seen it, first of all, be sure to check out my top 10 review on my favorite matches from John Cena. And it, with everything that went on with that war and the refugees, that was part of the reason I featured John Cena versus Rusev, and I'm glad that they took that angle off of WWE in good timing because little did we know this would happen. Speaking of political stuff, I don't talk politics, and you know someone who else probably shouldn't get too much into political opinions, Kane, because that guy is under a lot of fire with both X Pac, with former tag team champions X Pac and Mick Foley. Kane is under a lot of fire right now. I'll just leave it at that. So, let's get back to Friday Night SmackDown. We had Ronda Rousey come out, and it looked like she was about to cut a good promo. She said her armbar is better than her cheap version of a sharpshooter that she borrowed from her uncle. Just when I thought the promo was going to get good, Shotzi Blackheart comes out and challenges Ronda Rousey. Of course, Rousey's going to accept because Rousey doesn't back down from challenges. And Shotzi was very competitive. The last time those two were in the ring together, Shotzi quit. But this time, Shotzi was very, very competitive. Tonight, it was about a women's title Shotzi. But either way, title Shotzi put on a great performance tonight. We didn't get to see a lot. Thankfully, we didn't have any SmackDown shorts, by the way, except for Lacey versus Xia Li. It was about 5 minutes of an interesting match where Xia tried to be competitive before Lacey Evans went for the right arm punt, woman's right, to qualify to be a contestant of the women's Money in the Bank match. And I'm really loving the build-up of Lacey Evans, and it's very heartwarming because some stuff is entertainment, but it's based off of some true life testimonies that Lacey Evans has growing up in a broken home, and I applaud her for just overcoming all the struggles that she did to become a better person, and it has really won her over with the crowd and made her a babyface, so I really applaud that. Lacey's a winner, not a whiner, Xia, which you find out when you lost in 5 minutes. But either way, back to the match with Ronda and Shotzi. Shotzi was great. She took control with a swinging kick and whatnot. But it was a moment where she was going for another boot to the face. Ronda countered it, and then she slapped Ronda, and that pissed her off, and Ronda started making that face. You know, that face she makes, kind of like the girl made when she was upset that Miz won. Except Ronda's is a lot more scarier than the angry Miz girl. Either way, moving forward, that reminded me, yesterday I watched, because it was free on Peacock for a couple of more days, I watched Hell in a Cell 2018, which was a great event, had a great stacked match card, and the ending was ruined. But either way, there was a moment where Ronda was facing Alexa Bliss at Hell in a Cell 2018, and Ronda was mad. And when she did one of those, you should pause and see the look on Alexa's face. It was hilarious. The fear in her face was hilarious. And that's the way it was tonight with Ronda versus Shotzi. Ronda got mad, took control, and ended up winning the match via submission with the armbar. And Natalia comes out and put Ronda in the sharpshooter, and Ronda was injured, so it's not a cheap move, obviously. But like Pat said, Ronda, put the ice on because we need you at Money in the Bank. Nevertheless, I thought Ronda and Natalia were friends because they had a great match. I did a review on Ronda Rousey, and I put a match between Rousey and Natalia on Raw 2019 on that list. So, was it 2019 or late 2018? Wherever it was, it's on the Rousey list. Be sure to check that out if you haven't already. But I thought they were friends. But all friendship will be out the window at Money in the Bank. Speaking of out the window, tonight I saw it coming. It was a painful truth that I was preparing for, but tonight we had Walter versus Ricochet. And as for me in this channel, we shall call him Walter, not whatever the heck that other name is. I call him Walter. In this channel, ye shall call him Walter. So, Walter and Ricochet fought for the Intercontinental Championship, and it didn't take long for Ricochet's chest to take a strike. And so, making up, surprisingly, Ricochet was very competitive tonight. He gave his all tonight. He went for a shooting star, running shooting star. He even fought off Walter's Imperium sidekick. But it wasn't enough, obviously, to keep the ring general down. They traded drop kicks together, and of course there was that power bomb. Now, two things about that match. Number one, miraculously, I remember watching this episode of the Bernie Mac show where Stone Cold Steve Austin was the special guest actor on the episode, and Jordan was learning to wrestle. And there was a particular part where he fought this Asian guy, wrestled the Asian guy because he made weight. And of course, he was hitting puberty. But Jordan was able to wrestle, and he didn't win the amateur wrestling match, but he kept saying, but he celebrated that he didn't die. He was like, I didn't die! I didn't die! And that's how I would feel if I were Ricochet, because I knew, unfortunately, because I'm a Ricochet fan, that Walter was going to win this match. I knew that. But at least Ricochet escaped with his chest, because like a certain great technical wrestler whom we can't mention because of 2007, Walter, just like that wrestler, Walter is the master of chest slapping. Not the game chess, just chest slapping. And tonight, Ricochet escaped with his chest. He didn't escape with the championship, but he escaped with his chest. But we knew he was going to win, and I got quite the feeling that Walter is going to be champion for a very long time. So, everybody get a chest-proof vest, because your chest is his. Ask Dragunov in that classic they had in 2020. That was awesome. Moving on to the last part of the night. Great main event tonight featuring Rusty Sammy versus Matt Riddle, in a match that if Riddle wins, he will face Roman Reigns. So the match was great. We saw strength and MMA skills from Riddle, whereas he specializes in that background. First of all, crap. Because that's what Pat McAfee does. I can't do it like he does, but I'll keep practicing. But either way, great main event match. We had Riddle showing MMA and strength on display. Sami Zayn took control when he pushed Riddle off the turnbuckle down to the floor. Took control of the match a little bit. And Paul Heyman on commentary was cool until Sami started making mistakes. And Paul was like, pin him! You got him! Sammy, for God's sakes, pin him! So I can't do my Paul Heyman voice that well, but I tried. Either way, you had Sammy take control for a little bit, but he made the mistake of mocking Orton, whom I believe will return. People say we don't know if we'll see Randy Orton again. I believe Randy Orton, the Viper, shall return. The Viper shall return. Either way, moving on, Sammy took control till he started making mistakes, and mocking Randy Orton was one of them. So Riddle got mad, came back, fought with momentum. Sammy went for that special tornado bomb he loves to do, went for the haluva kick and missed. And after kicking out of that, he emulated Randy Orton and eventually went for the RKO to beat Sami Zayn. And so Paul Heyman is turning away from the match, had his hand over his head like he was about to cry, and Riddle still won the match. So the Usos decide to attack afterwards, but Riddle fought him off with kendo sticks. Now, Goliath may not be a dog that you want to come at with sticks, but the Usos, you can still come at with staffs. Either way, great night. I really enjoyed this night. It was a really good night for me. I mean, only one SmackDown short, but it was an interesting SmackDown short with Lacey, like I said earlier. But nonetheless, great episode. Just great episode of Friday Night SmackDown. What do you think about this episode? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm your host, Daniel Cody. That's all the time I got for you today. I'll be back with another review on all things wrestling. Stay cool in the summer, folks.